Oh, wonderful. There's no traffic at this time. It's just droopy eyelids. So we're getting close. We're just south of Rochester.
Okay.
39.
Going to the night.
On the west.
Excellent. No, I can't.
So we learned yesterday the halacha of the Shlokish. He tried to bring a kal v'chomer to prove that an Amavriya goes out with Mises Av. The Gemara ended up proving from Brises that that's not true because none of the Brises that ever listed releases of an Amavriya listed Mises Av. So it can't be that that's a Yitzhak. And then David asked, what about the kal v'chomer? The Gemara diffused the kal v'chomer by saying you can't be right from Simanim to Mises Av because Simanim are unique because it changes her body, it changes her goof. And you can suggest that this is not the same goof that the buyer, the Adon purchased. But Mises Av doesn't change anything in the Amma herself, therefore kal v'chomer wouldn't be kal v'chomer. So the Gemara in its rayas brought a raya from the price that discusses which of them, under what circumstances, which releases entitles them to Hanukkah. So the Gemara is going to now delve into the sugya of Hanukkah of the severance package that has to be given to an Eved Gufa. We're about 10 lines from the bottom on Daf Tazayin on the base. Gufa, Ela Manikunas. Following set of avodim get severance. If they left after 6 years, whether that's an Amir Vriya or an Eved Ivri, will be the same. Will be Yovel if they were released at Yovel. Or Mises Adain, or if the Adain died. Now, Mises Adain does not apply to everybody. It applies to a Nirtza, it applies to an Amma, and the Amir Avriya Bisma. And Amir Avriya was our what if it escapes and runs away? He's not entitled to severance. And if he redeemed himself, he's not either entitled to Girayin Kesef, Ein Manika. If the Eved ran away, he's not entitled to severance if he escaped. But if someone redeems himself, he's entitled to severance. This is what we discussed earlier. There are 4 releases that entitled the Eved or the Amma to Hanukkah. 3 of them apply to a man. The Gimel B'Isha, and 3 of them apply to a woman. You cannot say that either a man or a woman will ever be entitled to all these, will ever be entitled to Hanukkah with all these 4 releases, because these 4 releases do not apply both to men and women. 3 of each. Because Nish never goes out with Simonim, so he surely cannot get Hanukkah if he goes out with Simonim, because he doesn't. And you cannot have a Nirtza going out the Mises Adon by Nisha. Zok tomorrow. We know Hanamili. How do we know this? Taner Rabbanan. How do we know that there's Hanukkah for anything other than Yovel? Because the actual pasuk that discusses Hanukkah talks about Yovel. The Taner Rabbanan. I'm sorry. The Torah is talking about Yosy B'Sheish. That's where the Torah directly mentions Hanukkah. I would think the only Eved that gets a severance package is an Eved who goes out after 6 years, because that's where the Torah discusses Hanukkah. Where do you see these extra Yitzias that also are entitled the Eved and the Amma to receive Hanukkah? So to Gemara, Talmud Lomer Shachenu v'Chis Shachenu. So let's look at the psukim that discuss Hanok.
Right along.
What's it? What did you miss that? So it says in the puzzle, Ki yimachir l'cha achicha ivriya, va'avdei sheishanim, v'ashon hashviz t'shachenu chavshi me'imach. So it says t'shachenu. And then again it says, v'chiz t'shachenu chavshi me'imach, lo t'shachenu reika. So you clearly see that there's 2 times that the Torah mentions t'shachenu. Now turn around. Okay, so let's see the Gemara weiter. So since it says "Shvachenu v'chisa shachenu," we see that even other Yitzios entitled an Eved or Adama to severance. So Zok the Gemara, Yochel Shani Marbe Bareach, Yoy to be growing kids. If we're making the left, and then we're making directly another left to get right back up. So Zok the Gemara, how do you know that we're not Marbe Bareach and Yoy to be growing kids? Talmud Loimer, V'chisa Shalchenu Chavchi Meimach, Misha Shilucha Meimach. If you're letting the Eved go free, such as Yovel, such as Mrs. Adain, you're willingly letting the Eved go free, that's an Eved who receives severance. Yotze Bareach, V'yotze B'gerai Kesef, Shein Shalucha Meimach. If an Eved runs away, the other didn't send him free, he went free by himself. Or if an Eved went free with Gerai Kesef, turn right, right. If an Eved went free with Gerai Kesef, he let himself out by freeing himself, by bailing himself out. Once again, that's not Shilucha Meimach. That's the Shita of the Tanakama, but Reb Meir Eimer, by Rashim Manikaloi, they ain't Shilucha Meimach. They literally escaped. It's definitely not from you. Aval Yoyta B'Gerai Kesef will also consider that Shilucha Meimach the will. Now, why is Yoyta B'Gerai Kesef? Why does he consider that Shilucha Meimach? Rashi says Sheyeh Mekabel Gerai. At the end of the day, the Adon is accepting the bailout money. That's his participation in the freeing of the Eved. Frank Gemara, why wouldn't Bareach be entitled to severance? At the end of the day, the Bareach will have to come back and complete his contract. Bareach Hashlama Boy. We're going to force this Eved to come back and fulfill his contract. And when he fulfills his contract, he's going to be going out with Shei Shanim. Well, if that's the case, why isn't he entitled to severance at that point? How do you know that if an Eved escapes, he has to make up the time? He's got to work in 6 years. So at that point, Viter, he should be entitled to Girai, to Hanukah. So why do we say Bareach does not get Hanukah? So now we'll turn on to today's daf Yosy at Aleph. Yochel, you would think, Afilu Chala, what if the Eved becomes ill and he's not able to fulfill his 6 years of work? You might think such an Eved does not go free on the 6th year, and he has to also make up the lost time, just as we state by a Boireach, Talmud Leimer Ubashvias Yetze. No matter what, he walks free at the 7th year. Zok to Gemara, back to our kasha. How could you say Boireach does not get Hanukah? The Boireach will have to make up the time and let him get Hanukah at that point in time. He ran away. Yes, he was going to come and complete his term and then be entitled to Hanukah. But before he had a chance to complete his term, Yovel came along and he never had the opportunity to go make up the time that he had to. There he doesn't get on. You might think, since at the end of the day he was released due to Yovel, so therefore it's considered like you released him willingly because it was Yovel that allowed you to release him, and maybe we shouldn't cancel him and sanction him, and we shouldn't take away his anaka. Kamash Shalom, the pasuk that's not called shiluchem imach, that's called someone who ran away by himself. He's not entitled to it. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this price about when an Eved has to make up the time and when not. You might think even if an Eved became sick, he has to make up the time. No matter what, he goes free on the 7th year. Even though he was sick all 6 years and he couldn't properly perform his duties, he still goes free, meaning the other and the buyer takes a big loss. We have a price that says otherwise. If they have at least work for 3 years, then he doesn't have to make up the lost time. If he was sick all 6 years, he doesn't have to make it up. So we have the price earlier that says he doesn't have to make it up. This price says that he does make it up. The earlier price that said that even if the Eved is sick for all 6 years, he does not have to make up the time. That's speaking where he couldn't do his normal job, but he was able to sew. So he did the mending of the garments on behalf of his other. He couldn't work the fields. He couldn't do his real job, but he did something. Since he did something, we will say that he fulfilled his obus and he goes free after 6 years. But what if he was able to do nothing at all? If he was able to do nothing at all, then that will work for 3 years. For more than 3 years, we're going to say he has to make up the time. Now let's analyze the second price. That says 3 years. The price says if he was sick for 3 years, but he worked for 3 years, he does not have to make up for lost time. So if he was sick for 4 years, then he would have to be mashed. But I'm a safer. Look at the end of the price. It's mashma only if he was all 6 years. He's chayiv to be mashlim, but Dalad ain't chayiv mashlim. So to Gemara, it's not a stira. Halfi kamar, but Dalad nasa kami yechala kol sheish the chayiv mashlim. After 3 years, if the Eved is chala, he does not have to make up for lost time. But if it goes over 3 years, we look at it like he was not able to work all 6 years. Tosfos discusses a case of a malamed who became sick. He had like a 6-year contract, and he became sick after 3 years. Is he entitled to his pay? And Tosfos says, of course not. This is only a halacha by Eved Ivri. But by a schir, by someone who has a job, when he works, he gets paid, and when he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. Zok the Heilige Brisa. Tanu Rabbanan. Kama manikin lo. We're talking about the severance package. What's the severance package? How much money must be given to the Eved as part of a severance? So we have a 3-way machlokes. First time it says, Chamesh shloim mikol minu min. It says, Hanik tanik loy, mitzayncha, umigarnecha, umiyikvecha. From your silo, where you have grain, umiyikvecha, your yakev, as you keep your wine. So you need hanaka from 3 components, and it's 5 shloim of each component. Hamesh shloim mikol minu min. And now, the Rebbe teaches you a math lesson. What is 5 times 3? 15 shloim in total. Divrei Reb Meir. Yehuda Omer, shloishim. It's 30 shkolim. That's 30 shloim. That the hanok is. Why? The shloishim shel Eved, like the shloishim of an Eved, if your animal kills an Eved, you must pay the Eved 30 shloim. What does that have to do with Hanukkah? We will see. Shimon Omer Chamisha. It's 50 sloim. Why? Because the highest assessment for a full-grown adult male is 50 sloim. So we're going to say the same amount that would be used as air for the most expensive person, that would be the amount of anah. Again, where's the connection the Gemara is going to explain? It's giving us a math lesson. What is 3 times? If you're mayor teaching us a math lesson, we all know 3 times 5 is 15. Why did the mayor need to tell us the sum total of the sloim have to be given for Hanukah is 15? So tomorrow, Hakamash Malon is a very important that Reb Meir is teaching us by telling us the sum total is 15. That is as follows. Mivtzar, Hujalai Mivtzar Mahaminyan. All it's saying is that you're not allowed to give less Hanukah than 15 sloim. It has to be a minimum of 15 sloim. However, what if you didn't give him 5 sloim of tzoin? You gave him 3 sloim of tzoin, but you gave him 7 sloim of yakev. So in total, you still give him 15. You just didn't give him the exact ratio, 5 of each, less lamba. That wouldn't be a problem. So that's why Reb Meir said that it's 15, because the focus is the 15. How it's broken down is not such a problem. So to give my time at Reb Meir, where did he get times 3? Where does it come from? So first of all, 5 comes from it says by the Eved, don't send the Eved out empty-handed. And then it says by Pidyon Bechar, it's speaking over there also by the Pash of Eilish Re'iyah, we have Xer Shava from the word Rekam by Hanukah to the word Rekam. That's discussing Pidyon Ben. Just like there it's 5 sloim, so too by Hanukah it's 5 sloim. So then you might ask, how do you know it has to be 5 sloim from each min? Maybe the Rekam tells you that Hanukah is the grand total of 5 sloim. Dr. Gemara, if it would have said, after it said Hanukah, so Rekam is the summary of everything, and there we learned 5 sloim, you would be right. You declare, how the ship Rekam Beresha? First it says Rekam, and then it says Hanukah, Chanitha, Megard, or Mikvecha. The Rekam of 5 sloim is going on each category. Shadi Rekam Atzain, Rekam Agarin, Rekam Yekev. From each min, you will require to give 5 sloim for a grand total of 15. Perfect. But that Rekam that's referring to Pidyon Bechor is also in the parsha of Eilish Re'iyah. So how do you know that when the Torah says the Jershav of Rekam, it's pointing to Bechor, which is 5 sloim? Maybe it's pointing to Eilish Re'iyah, which is 2 sloim, or maybe even less than 2 sloim, depending on the Gemara over there. So the Gemara, because it says in our pasuk by Hanukah, you have to give big. Because it says Hashem Hashem Alekecha. You have to give according to the bracha that you had. Think big. Therefore, if we have a choice of picking the Rekam of Bechor, which is 5 sloim apiece, the Rekam of Eilish Re'iyah, which is maybe 2 sloim, we're going to go big. Yehuda says it's 30 sloim, like the 30 sloim of an Eved. Why would we compare it to the 30 sloim? The time of Yehuda, he has a Dereshava again. Yalach Nesina Me'eved. It says Nesina by Hanukah, by Titein Loi, and it also says Nesina by the Shloshim Shaleved. It says that the perpetrator, the Mazik, has to Titein, has to give the shkolim to the person whose Eved was killed. So we learn Ma'ala Alon Shloshim Afkan Shloshim. Frank Gemara, if he has a Xer Shav Nesina, who said the Nesina that you compare to is the Nesina of Ebed, the name of Nesina Me'erchin? Why was the Nesina of American? Because by Erchin it also is Nesina. By Erchin, it's bigger, it's a bigger amount. So why don't we say, Lord Nesina from Erchin, the Hanukkah should be 50 shekels? A couple of reasons. Tado, the faster, Mubala, the faster, move the faster. If you have a choice of going big or small, you go small. You go small because who said, how do you know that the Xer Shav is referring to the greater amount? It's unknown. So you can only prove the smaller amount. Would I rather learn Eved from Eved of the Shloshim Shkolim of an Eved? Or would I rather learn the Hanok of Eved out of the 50 Shkolim of Erchin that has nothing to do with Eved? We're going to do a Xer Shava, we'll do a Xer Shava at least from a similar topic from Eved, even though we're talking about a different payment, but at least we're in the same subject of Eved. So to Gemara, it's Chamishim. Why Chamishim Sheba'erch? My time with Reb Shimon, why would Reb Shimon learn Hanukah from Erchin? Garment Nesina and Nesina Erchin. Unlike Rav Yehuda, he said, you don't do the fasta Meruba, like the fasta. If you have a choice of comparing it to Erchin, you compare it to Erchin. Ma'alalach Chamishim, Avkach Chamishim. Right, the Gemara, Erchin, there's many different Erchins. The highest Erchin on an adult male is 50, but there's much smaller amounts for younger children, for older people. The aim of a Pavashaber, maybe you should pick the lowest cost of Erchin. It's hardly 50. More because it says Asher Beirachacha, Hashem Alekecha Ksit. It says give large. So if you want to learn from Erchin, you're going to pick the largest payment made per Erchin. According to Reb Shimon, Nelef the Nesina Me'eved, for the same reason as Rabbi Yehuda. Doesn't Rabbi Yehuda have a very good argument to learn the Sina from Eved and pick a case where it's not as much because of Tefasta, Merubah like Tefasta? Dr. Gemara, you're right. Rabbi Shimon does not know this from the Nesina, because if the Xer Shava he had was Nesina, he would have agreed to Rabbi Shimon, to Rabbi Yehuda, that is. Rather, Rabbi Shimon Micha Gaber. By Mechiras and Eved, it says V'chiyama, and it also says by Shkolim Shal Eved. I'm sorry. It also says by Erchin V'chiyama. So therefore, since in both cases it uses the word Micha, that is where the Xer Shava is from. That Xer Shava is only relevant to Erchin. Therefore, you wouldn't be able to compare it. You wouldn't be able to compare it to the shloshim of an Eved. Rashi quotes the pasuk. Micha, so let me just read it. Micha, Rashi says, it says by Eved v'chiyama chachicha shebe'erchin v'mach. So therefore, we learn through that Xer Shava. Zok the Gemara weiter. So that's how we know, according to Reb Meir, it's 15 because it's 5 shloim from before, it's 3 minim. According to Reb Shimon, it's 50 Micha from Erchin. According to Reb Yehuda, it's 30 Nesina from Eved, from an Eved that was killed by a person's ox. The shloshim. Beautiful. So to Gemara weiter. According to Reb Meir, everything makes sense. There's 3 items that you're ma'anik with, and it's 5 times 3 is 15. So the reason why the Torah had to list Soin Garden Yekev is to tell us that each one needs 5, and that's where the total of 15 comes from. Ela Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, hide Soin Garden Yekev. Why did the Torah list off Soin Garden Yekev? It doesn't help us. You don't have to give Tzoyin Garden Yaakov, and it's just amount for the amount. The amount we know, 30 and 50, respectively from Erichin and from the Knas of another. So why did the Torah have to list off the three mina? Dr. Gemara, we needed to teach us a very important law. I would have thought that a knuckle cannot be from any other thing other than sheep, grain, or wine. Those are the only things that you're allowed to give for a knuckle. Dr. Gemara, Minai L'Rabbi is called over. How do you know you're allowed to make hanaka? You're allowed to give them anything that's valuable. Dr. Gemara, with anything. Frank Gemara came Matam and Garden Via. So why did the Torah speak out the daf of these three species? If in fact you could give anything. Gemara, one enough to tell you, Matzayin Garden V'Yekev, there's something specific about Matzayin Garden V'Yekev. They all grow. They give birth. They produce wool. Goyren is wheat. It produces more. You replant it and it produces more. Same thing with grapes. So you only give anaka something that doesn't have a dead end. Something that you could make more out of it. Now look at this next line. Because money doesn't grow. High cash is king. Money doesn't grow. It doesn't grow naturally. Therefore, you shouldn't give cash as another. Diver up Shimon. Cannot give mules. Mules cannot give birth to children. Mules cannot produce offspring. Only give anaka, because basically you're not just giving him money, you're giving him resources to start his own business. So you need to give him a resource that can reproduce, that can improve. Teach a man how to fish. That's right. Zog the Gemara, Reb Shimon Treidos, Mishafchem Migufai. Reb Shimon holds that it's Yotzuk Sof, but Treidos, they could improve. If you feed them well, they'll become stronger, they'll become better. That's also room for an improvement. That's considered Yesh Namachal Bracha. Rabbi Lezman Yaakov, Ksafim Avad Lahu Iska. Rabbi Lezman Yaakov says, what do you mean cash is a dead end? Cash is not a dead end at all. Cash opens the world to you. You can invest in anything. Utricha. And we need all three words. Tzoyin, Garin, and Yaakov. The concept of Rahman Tzoyin, if the Torah was at Tzoyin, Havim in the Balachayim in Gidula Karkaloi. I would have thought only Balachayim are acceptable for another. Therefore, because of Rahman Garin, tell you they could even give grain. Because of Rahman Garin, Havim in the Gidula Karka in Balachayim. I would have thought only plants, but not animals. Because of Rahman Tzoyin. So now that we got Balachayim and Gidula Karka, Yaakov normally, why do we need Yaakov for? So turn it over onto Amud Beis after the Gemara. Second. Stop over. Sorry. Okay, sagt die Gemara weiter. Lamar Lamute Ksafim. According to one shita, it's to say that you can't give money, which I think unless we Yaakov, Lamar Lamute Predois. According to Shimon, it's to say you cannot give Predois because they have to be something that yesh no mechal. Taner Rabban. Asher beirach Hashem alekeh. It says that you give anaka from what? From the good that Hashem benched you with, due to this evet. Sagt Gemara, Yochel nisbarach ba'is b'glolai anikanoi, loy nisbarach ba'is b'glolai ismanikanoi. I might have thought that I only have to give anaka if this evet brought me good fortune. If this evet brought me success. What if I didn't do well at all? Do I still have to give anaka? Maybe not. No matter what, you have to give anakah. It seems like the Torah is linking the anakah to you being blessed due to employing this eved. You have to give him a minimum no matter what. If you were fabulously successful due to his working for you, of course you should bonus him more. But it's a minimum. The prescribed amounts that we discussed on Amar Aleph are a minimum. If this was ever brought you fabulous success, feel free to give more.
What if you weren't so successful? You weren't blessed.
So the Gemara says there's a minimum. There is a minimum, but if you did well, you should give more.
Maybe you shouldn't have to give anything, because
I like that. I like that as well.
If there was a blight, if there's some kind of a blight, or if the Eved caused the fire or destroyed stuff.
So that's what Rabbi Elizabeth Zayah said. Exactly what the Torah says. So the machlokes is Rabbi Elizabeth Zayah was an employer, and the Tanakama was a union rep. So he wanted the bonus no matter what. He worked for a public sector union, just like Trudeau. He recently bonused millions of dollars to the Bank of Canada for messing up inflation, and all of the government agencies that messed up their job, he just gave him big bonuses. Why? Because he lives like the Tanakama. Elizabeth Zayah says, when do you get a bonus? If you deserve it. If you mess up, you don't get a bonus. The unions say, no, you get a bonus no matter what. If you did something good, you should get even a bigger bonus.
Yes, yesterday I saw a YouTube. You can check that. I just posted a link last night that Pierre Poilievre actually had a press conference, and he said he was donating a calculator to Justin Trudeau to know.
A calculator?
Yeah, he should be able to add up how much he messed up the economy.
So Andrew Scheer a couple of days ago said, Trudeau is unbelievable how he operates. If all of these agencies had one job, you had one job to keep inflation in check. You messed up the job, here's your bonus. That's mamash hanaka, even though it's not deserved. Okay, so Zok to Gemara weiter. Okay, Matam or Hanik Tanik. Why does it Hanik Tanik if in fact you don't have to give hanaka if the evidence is not deserving? Return to Lashon B'nai Adam. Outside of Torah speaks sometimes. The double Lashon. Not that you could bring a right. Zok to Gemara weiter. Thunder abundant. Every Ovid is Haben, they know Ovid is Habas. If an if his other dies and there's a surviving son, the Evid continues his term by the son. But if there's no surviving son, the Evid walks free. Amar Avriya, on the other hand, the Amar Avriya does not go over to anybody. Other than dies, she walks free. And Nirtza, and Nimker Loivet Ketavet, an Evid Nirtza, or an Evid who was sold to a guy, he's just like a Nama. If the other dies, they walk free. Nobody asks. Let's analyze this. Every Ovid is a ben, vein Ovid Sabas. You know what I mean? How do we know this? Thunder upon it. It says, Vavotcha Sheish Shana. Vavotcha, every will work only for you. L'cha v'loy li'yarsh. Correct the Gemara at the Omer, L'cha v'loy li'yarsh. You have all of the Yerush, let's say the brother of the father, and you have the Yerush of the son. How do you know the Torah is excluding the brother from Yarshaning the Yavet, Ifri? Maybe the Torah is excluding the son from Yarshaning the Yavet, Ifri. Zakt Gemara, Kishu Omer, Shei Shanim Yavoy. It says he has to work 6 years no matter what. Meaning, even if the Adam dies, he has to work. That's referring to the bed. So this is puzzling. Yes, we have a pasuk that says he only works for you and not for you. We have a contradictory pasuk that says he has to work 6 years. So how can you arbitrarily apply the pasuk that says he continues to work means for the son, and how could you arbitrarily say the pasuk that says that he goes free and he does not work for the Irish applies to a brother? Zok very simple. My rice, the rabbis is a ben, my bani is a ben, you know why? It can come tachas ovid liyaida ulistech. A son stands in his father's shoes relevant to two halachas, related to two halachas. A is yield. Only a son could make yield on the Hama Ivriya. A brother wouldn't be able to. And the Steyach Chuzah. The halacha is, if someone donates his Steyach Chuzah to Hektish, if he redeems it himself, he gets it. But if a stranger redeems that field, then that stranger will be able to keep the field up until Yovel. And Kam Yovel, the field does not go back to the original owner, it goes back to Hektish. And it's split up amongst the Kohanim. So by Steyach Chuzah, if his son buys it back, then that's as if he bought it back and he gets to keep it. Zok to Gemara Adarabah. I'll show you ways where the brother stands in his brother's shoes more than a son stands in his father's shoes. Marbani Isa'ach, you can come tachas of evil. The brother literally stands in his brother's shoes when he makes evil. So maybe he should get Yerusha to heaven. Zok to Gemara, that's not a time. Blum yesh yibum. Even the schos that the brother has to do yibum is only if there's no son. But if there's a son, he trumps every other Irish. So since the son trumps every other Irish, the logic is that if an it's going to be yarshin by one person, it's going to be the pen. It's not going to be the af. So to Gemara, the whole reason why we say that the son Yarshus, the Evet, is because of this pircha, that Yibum doesn't mean anything, because there's only Yibum if there's no son. Otherwise, you would have thought maybe that the relationship of Yibum is better. Therefore, the brother should Yarsh and Devin. Well, why don't we have another reason why you don't compare it to Ach, or rather you compare it to Evet, son? We discussed that there's two similarities between a father and son. A is Tefusa, and B is Yiyud. And there's only one similarity by a brother. That is evil. Why isn't that more of a reason to say that the son gets the Evid? So to Gemara, that's not a kasha. Because typically the Hakatati of Gemara, no. The Stech Chuzanami and how Pircha the Tanafka. How do we know that the Steyach Chuzah is considered redeemed and the family gets to keep it only if the son buys it back, not a brother? It's from that same svara the Gemara asked. Maybe it should go to the brother. So the Gemara, no, because the brother doesn't do evil if the son's around. Therefore, it's the same reason there as it is here. Therefore, that the Steyach Chuzah doesn't count. The Steyach Chuzah and Yibum are really one and the same. We established that an Amar Ivriya does not work for anybody other than the other himself. We know how we know this. Amar Apada, Amar Kra, Af La Moscha Tasake. Pasuk that's discussing Hanaka. Actually, let's have a look at it, where it says it. It says as follows. Let's see if we have it over here. No, I don't have the pasuk, so let's look at Rashi. Rashi does bring down the psukim. Says that the pasuk says in the pasuk, Avanok is Hanak Tanakloy. Then it talks about a nirtza. Then it says va'af lamoscha tasake. So from there we learn that an amma is like a nirtza. Zogt the Gemara. Let me move up a little. Okay, here we are. Where's the Gemara here? Oh, here it is. Amar Vir Einev Slice of Bim, the best not the mealy. Amar Crow, the Pasuk says, V'Avlamos Tasake. The Kisha cross of the Nirtza. We're comparing an Amar Vria to a Nirtza. My Nirtza in a Evid Lois Aben Lois Bas. Look, a Nirtza does not work for the daughter. Amar Vria in a Evid Lois Aben Lois Bas. Frank the Gemara Bahayla Mosca Tasake Lahachim also. Is that what this pasuk teaches us? We need the pasuk of Mosca Tasake to teach us a different halacha. And what is that halacha? As follows. It means that the Amar of Riyah also gets severance. Maybe it's Ritziah. Kishu Omer Bim Amar Yomer Amar of Riyah. It cannot be saying that an Amar also is subject to the parsha of Ritziah if she wants to stay, because the Torah says in Amar Yomer Evet. Only an Evet is allowed to say, I want to stay on. Amar Riyah can't. Ritziah Amar. What must the Torah be referring to? It says Vafal Moschatas Kain. It's Lahan. So how do you know from here that the Amma goes free if the Adon dies? So Gemara, if we just needed to know that the Amma goes free when the Adon dies, the your Amma has the same rule, meaning she goes free when the Adon dies. My tacit, what the Avla tacit? What are you doing to her? If she just goes free because she does not work for the Kiddushin, if the Adon dies, it's just about Avla Tacit means you have to do something for her. What are you doing for her? You're giving her enough. So we learn two things from Bafal Mostas. Again, A is that she does not work for Yoshim. B is that she gets severance. So to more weiter. We just learned Hama of Riyah from Nirtza. Just like a Nirtza doesn't work for a Yerush, so too an Amma doesn't. How do we know a Nirtza does not work for a Yerush? Nirtza dechsev v'rata doinovis as neighbor v'atzeah v'avadot lo'ilom, and he works only for this other and forever. V'lo yasaben yasabas. Nim geloyv gechav minayin. How do we know a Ever every day sold to a guy? How do we know that Nirtza doesn't work by him? How do we know that? How do we know that he goes free with Mises Adam? It says v'chishev im kainei. When you're bailing out, when you're redeeming an evet from a guy, you make a calculation with who? With the person who bought him. You never have to make. You never have to make a even to buy back a neved from the Irish. You know why? Because you never work for your. Never will this Yid work for the Irish guy. Amar Rabba, you know what you see from here? The Var Torah, you see from here, a guy with Yarash in his father. How do you see that? Since I think you went wrong.
No, I'm going up.
Since the Torah says that the Goy does not yarshin an Eved, it's mashma that everything else he would yarshin. The chlal the isla yarshin. So you see from here, Amidaraisa, a Goy yarshin his father, and there's a special pasuk referring exclusively to avodim that a Goy does not yarshin an Eved. How about ger es oivet gechava? What if a person became a ger? Does he yarshin his father? Or so Zok Gemara, Ein I midiver Torah midiver Seif. Meikar adin midaraisa a ger is gekot in shanoilo dami, and the ger does not yarshin his father.
It's really good you think.
Midarabanon he yarshins. It's not to be learned. Ger v'oivet kechavim sheyarshu saviyim oivet kechavim. What if a ger or a goy yarshin their father? The halacha is now their father who they're yarshining. The father who they're yarshining might have had some isur eno. So you have two brothers. One became a ger and one didn't. And the father died. The father has avodah zarah. The father has other assets. Naturally, the ger won't want the avodah zarah. He can't do anything with it. The ger is going to want other assets. So the halacha is the ger can tell his non-Jewish brother, you take any avodah zarah that are asher bano, and I'll take money. You take the yayin esech, which is asher bano, that's before they take any money. But if they already took everything in, and now he wants to swap mutter, because basically what he's doing is he's swapping Isurei Hana, and he's having enough of Isurei Hana. If you held that a ger yarshins his father midairaisa, then you have a big problem, because kiloi bar l'shusei nami kishakil chiluvei avodas kachavamu the shaku the kashakel. If you're going to tell me that midairaisa he yarshins his father, well then the moment his father dies, he's already been kind of Yisur enough. Too late already. He can no longer swap because he's swapping Yisur enough. But if he's only yarshining his father midrabanan, the Rabbanan could say, yes, you yarshin him, but not when he dies. After you make a deal with your brother, then you'll be kind of everything. So this way, they're helping him be able to yarshin without messing it up and making him kind of Yisur enough. Why did the Rabbanan make a gzera that a ger should yarshin his father? If he's kikad shenoyel, let him not yarshin his father. Could you imagine if his father he became a ger, his father dies, left over millions of dollars, and he can't take anything? He's not going to want to be a ger anymore. He said, "Forget it. I'm renouncing my Judaism," even though that doesn't work. But nevertheless, we're afraid they'll do that, and that's why they made a gzera that he still yarshins his father. That's only if they're yarshining, their opponent don't give it to him until he makes a deal. If he joined his brother and there was Yisur no in their joint venture, it's usher for him to swap out and take non-Yisur no and let his brother take Yisur no. What if a man is Megayer, but his father remains a goy? Or if a ger is a ger, or if he becomes a ger and his son becomes a ger, there he doesn't yashin him at all. There's no Yerush at all. It's not to be learned. What if someone borrows money from a ger, whose sons also became a ger, and then the malva died? He should not return the money to the sons of the malva. And don't think you get brownie points. You made a Kiddush Hashem if you give back the money. No, you get zero credit for it. The Rabbanim don't care that you should pay back the children. But Tanya Ruach Chachamim children. When the ger's child was born, he was a complete goy, and then they both became gerim later. This is how Rashi lived. Going on to Daf Yud Ches Aleph, but if it was a Rasai b'kedusha, shaloi b'kedusha, v'leidasa b'kedusha, that already you should give it back, according to Rashi. Tosfos learns the opposite. Contrary, Rashi shaloi b'kedusha, v'leidasa b'kedusha, where you give it back. We'll stop here. Let's stop here and we'll bounce tomorrow. At the end of the day, they
Yes,
compare
right.
not to the Yashnikin, but it was like Dasa B'Tusha, then the Ruach HaChamim wants you to pay back. Yishkoyach Shmuel, Yishkoyach Venzi, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
I wanted to tell you that it was very clear until we just did this last little shtickle. It was very clear.
Okay. I saw I had a note on my computer that my internet is going
Yeah,
bad.